Aotearoa Ōtautahi branch. And that's happening by Zoom. Good morning and welcome.
No, can't hear.
Grace and Katie.
Can't hear them yet.
Hello, Grace and Katie, I'm handing over to you now.
Ata Mārie, ngā mihi nui. We appreciate your time this morning. I am Grace Ryan, and with me is Katie Chilton. We're here as representatives of Women in Urbanism, Ōtautahi branch. Women in Urbanism, next.
Oh, they're not up.
It just takes a second.
The next. Brilliant, thank you. Women in Urbanism, is an incorporated society of like-minded women. Our mission is to transform urban spaces to be more inspiring and inclusive. Members include transport engineers, architects, landscape architects, urban designers and planners. We have 600 members in Aotearoa. Next, please. Locally, we hold a range of initiatives to raise awareness and share ideas. Next, please. This is the site of the Kate Shepherd National Memorial. It's the only national memorial here in Ōtautahi and the country's only monument for women's suffrage. Despite its central location, the site is underwhelming and lacking presence. We have formed a project team to explore this opportunity. So far, all stakeholders we've reached support the project. These include the original artist, Margaret Lindhausen, Ōtakaro, the National Council of Women, the Ministry for Women, the Council Parks team, and the OMC building developers. Next, please. The memorial only shows one wahine Māori, Mere Te Tai Manga Kahia, and all text is in English. With this opportunity, we can better acknowledge the largely unrecognised wahine Māori suffragists and their sacrifices, including foregoing moko kowai, chin moko, a cultural taonga. Katie will now outline the concept we've developed. Kia ora. Next, please.
I'd like to thank all the women involved in our design process to date. Paula Rigby of Ngā Tuhihiri has brought together Ngā Kōrero Wahine. We acknowledge the input of Kathy Challinor and Dr. Jackie Bowring, memorial specialists who have contributed to this concept. Margaret Lindhausen, the original artist, has mentioned that the memorial is lost in its setting. We know that wahine Māori do not recognise themselves in this memorial story. Many of you will appreciate that the site turns its back to the terraces and can be easily overlooked. Even for special events, there is no place to gather to remember. There is an opportunity to provide seating to allow people to reflect, observe and acknowledge. The timing is ideal with the OMC building being restored for opening in 2023. The significance of the suffragist story deserves more and better. Next. Our guiding principle for our concept is whakaranga, relief, redress, revival, recovery, restoration, rehabilitation and rescue. We have identified 6 key moves. Number 1, bringing the missing voices, a delicate extension to the figures in the memorial to acknowledge the women behind the story. 2, acknowledging the sacrifices. This element reinstates recognition of wahine Māori in the movement, including Hene Te Kiri Karamu and Hera Sterling Munro. 3, framing and reflecting, introducing a vertical frame to the memorial to elevate the status of the artwork and visually distinguish it from the backdrop. 4, the white ribbon, a new sinuous pathway creating a visual invitation which represents its namesake, the first woman-operated newspaper. 5, the table, drawing on the scenes of everyday women's lives shown in the memorial, the table represents the domestic and learning setting. 6, the connection, a new connection from Oxford Terrace to the Waka Landing past the OMC building. Next. Bringing these key moves together, this is our high-level concept plan that we have developed for the space. Next. And this is our 3D vision for the National Memorial. We hope you can imagine yourselves being part of elevating the memorial status within our city and Aotearoa. Our next steps will be to engage with mana whenua further and other stakeholders to further develop the key features. Next. We thank you for your time and hearing our aspirations for the site. We are seeking your support and technical advice from your internal staff to progress this opportunity so we can begin fundraising. We hope you are excited as we are. We look forward to your support in the background as we explore this opportunity for Ōtautahi. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I've seen a presentation that's been better timed for meeting the exact amount of time that was set aside for it. But thank you, that was very exciting and really interesting, and so pleased to see some thought given to weaving all elements of that story together. So congratulations on the work that you've done. I'm sure I'm sure that the organisation will support the technical side of things so that you can start your campaign. Yeah, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, the next one is a deputation by appointment, which is Kerrs Flat Water Sports Group. I've been told that if you look at the report and you have questions on attachments F to I, then these are the right people to direct your questions to, because they are their images, as I understand it. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. We've got Logan Keys, who's the Regional Manager of the Canterbury Rowing Association, Tom McIntosh and Pieter Luthi, I think, representing the Kerrs Flatwater Sports Group, presenting a deputation on item 16, implementing the City to Sea Pathway key decisions. Over to you. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Thanks for that, Mia. You've actually done the introductions for me, which is great. But just with me today, we've got Pieter Luthi. So Pieter is a New Zealand age group kayaking representative. She's also a committee member on New Zealand's largest paddling club, which is the Arawa Canoe Club. And Tom McIntosh, member of the Tokyo Olympic 8, Olympic champion, and member of our largest rowing club, Avon Rowing Club. So just go on to the next slide, if that's possible. Cool. So today we're representing 9 sporting organisations with interest in this project. We're here to support the staff's report to undertake further work to understand this concept in more detail. And by now you should all be reasonably familiar with this project. So I'll keep this reasonably brief and leave plenty of time for questions at the end. Next slide, please. So just in terms of a bit of history, water space is our playing field, and flatwater sports have been in dire need of more water space even prior to the earthquakes. We've made do with a facility that was built about 70 years ago, and all our sports are unable to meet the current demand of people wanting to take part in our sports. The regeneration plan allows for development of more flat water space at Kerrs Reach, and here we're hoping to enable this. Next slide, please. Looking forward, as a sporting group, we're looking for certainty so we can invest our funds in the east and build a permanent home along the river. The river has many advantages for us, including proximity and accessibility via bike. It is usable in almost all weather conditions, probably except, I'd imagine, today. And the development would create an opportunity to create a unique, vibrant and world-class training and event space. Next slide, please. So just a note, early on we engaged with mana whenua through NKT. We understand the river is important to them, and it is also hugely important to us. Water sports require a healthy waterway, and we're committed to understanding the project in more detail before moving forward with it. Next slide, please. Last slide, we'll just leave the images, some images up from work we've already done. But now I'll pass over to Pieter, who will just make comment around the current safety issues at the river.
Yeah, so I just wanted to cover some of the health and safety issues we're currently facing. At the moment, the river's pretty much at capacity for us to operate safely with the numbers of sports people we have, and the numbers are only continuing to grow. The rowing clubs aren't far off that. So obviously we do currently have safety protocols in place, which all the river users are aware of, and they do adhere to, but just due to the number we have on the water at once, we still have many, it's just due to human and novice. In particular at the kayak club, we introduce members from the age of 9 and up, so it's often too dangerous for our younger athletes and beginners to access the water during peak times. As well as this time of year with all the school rowers getting out, and talking to the kayak club members, many of them have been involved in incidents, falling out into the water, getting hit. So yeah, we'd really benefit from having bi-directional use of the river. It would encourage more people to get out and get involved in our sports in a safer venue.
Thank you. And I'll pass now over to Tom just to give his perspective on the proposal.
Cool. Thank you, Logan. And hello to the Christchurch City Council. I'll just kick things off by reiterating my thanks for a youth development grant I received in 2017 and 2018. So that grant from you guys went towards a lot of my nutrition leading up to the under-23 World Championships, where one of them we were fortunate enough to come home with a bronze medal in Poland. I brought this along today with me as well. This is the gold medal that we won in Tokyo, and I know there'll be some people here that are keen to see it, so I just thought I'd bring it along and show you what it's like. It's a pity that I couldn't make it down there to show you guys in the flesh. Oh, thank you for that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So just reiterating what Logan and Peter said, I think this is just a fantastic idea, and from competing in New Zealand and overseas, internationally they have lots of these venues around the place, and while it's fantastic for the water sports because it's a venue for them to compete on, it's actually great for the community. So what we see when we train in places like Germany, Austria, or wherever it may be in Europe, they have these awesome facilities and there's lots of athletes competing and training on there, but there's also cafes, event centres, people out there having picnics. So while it attracts a lot of athletes, it also attracts a lot of community members there as well. And you can have cool events there as well. So a classic example is the Henley Royal Regatta in England. So that's the equivalent of the national champs. And that's like a massive spectacle. I think the Queen even attends that one. So while we might not be on that scale, it just sort of shows the scope that is available to have a facility like this. And rowing and water sports, they're great for teamwork and they're such a good sport for young kids to get involved in. But unfortunately, there is quite a large barrier to entry. It's not easy. It's not very that accessible to find a big body of water that is safe and kind of a considerate environment to train on. And I think if this facility went ahead, it would eliminate a lot of the barriers of entry to water sports, and it would just be a fantastic thing for the community and also athletes.
Cool. Sorry, magic. Thanks, Tom. So that's, I guess, the extent of our presentation. I wanted to leave plenty of time for questions. So if there are any questions, I'll answer those in the first instance or push those towards Peter or Tom.
Right. Look, thank you for your presentation. And the gold medal was just a treat. So thank you for that as well. Has anyone got any questions that they'd like to ask? Aaron.
Yeah, Tom, going into the final, did you guys know you could win before the race or was it during?
We're competitive athletes, so we always had indication that we could win. Man for man, I thought we could probably do it, but it was just a matter of executing our process on the day. And I thought we did that really well. You know, we were in a position where we trusted everyone in the crew, so I had complete confidence in all my team members. So I just made sure that I did my part, and that was 12.5% of the boat. So I just did that to 100% of my ability, and the other 9 guys did as well. And yeah, and in doing that, you can execute a result that gets you across the line first.
Yeah. Yanni.
Thank you. I just wanted really to acknowledge the work that you've done on what previously has been a pretty contentious issue. And is it kind of a fair assumption to make that most of the water sports community is behind this proposal now?
Yes, yeah. All of the current users of the river are part of our group, or the organised users, I should say. Yeah. Right.
Okay. No, that's really good. Thank you. And I know in the briefing you did talk about trying to reduce the waste from the existing structures and reusing them as much as possible. So that's still in your thoughts and planning.
Yeah, totally. As we go forward into that next stage, we'll look at how we can reuse existing structures, as well as obviously building more capacity as well.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think the connection that you've made with mana whenua as part of that whole early engagement has been really important as well. And I mean the ecological, health of the river is something that you support as well as we require. So it seems to be that we've got to do the detailed work now. So hopefully that's going to get resolved today. So look, thank you very much. I'm looking around the room. But thank you very much for your presentation. It's something extremely positive to look forward to. So thank you.
Magic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Right, the last of the deputations is Royal Forest and Bird Protection Society regarding Wairewa Reserve 3185 change in trust.